Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Tuesday, September 18th. I can't believe it's the 18th already. Breakdown of the Champions League, the UCL Champions League slate for both DraftKings and FanDuel. My name is Rob Diamond, also known as Sir Robert Six on both FanDuel and DraftKings, and I'm here to try and help you better understand and get a first taste of what the Champions League is like. For some of you, this may be your very first Champions League ever slate, so this is both for beginners and people who are looking for some picks and some edge plays. Hopefully, we'll be able to bring both of those to you. Let's not really waste any time here, and let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to discuss today is I get asked a lot, how do you study for Champions League? Because usually for English Premier League, it's quite easy and you don't really have to do a whole lot of digging in terms of finding something that's actually in your own language where you can study and easily bring up in Google. So I just wanted to give everyone a quick little breakdown of my own process for Champions League to maybe help you for a first-time player. If you aren't a first-time player, by all means, just skip ahead for a little bit. If you're watching live, sorry, you're going to have to sit for a few minutes here and deal with this. But the first thing I want to show everyone is basically what you want to do here. So I'll open up screen share. And ideally here, what you are looking for is, I just want to make sure this is working. Let's go back here. There we go. Okay. So let's open this up here. And so we have the schedule you'll see for today. Basically what I wanted to do is try and give everyone a little bit of a breakdown of how Champions League works. So it's in different groups. So basically what we should do actually first is bring up the different groups here. So sorry, that's so choppy there. So you have Group A. We'll see them in action today. Group B, we actually won't see any of Group B at all today. Group C will have a full dose of today, and Group D will also be involved in. And then tomorrow we'll deal with the rest of the groups. But just give me 2 seconds here while I bring the rest of this up. Okay. Sorry, this is my very first time doing a YouTube broadcast by myself, so I want to make sure that everyone can actually see what I'm doing here. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, excellent. Looks good. So basically, the way Champions League works is that it's broken into different groups, as you can see here. And the idea is that only two teams from each group will advance. So as you can see here today, we're going to have Athletic Madrid and Monaco playing, Dortmund and Club Brugge playing. From Group B, we won't see any of this at all, but Inter and Tottenham are going to be playing, and Eindhoven, Barcelona. If you're going to be watching or playing the early slates, that'll be on the early slate. We'll be seeing Red Star Belgrade and Napoli, and I hope every single one of us will be watching the Liverpool PSG game, which is a pretty excellent definition of what Champions League is all about. I'll get to that in a bit. But Galatasaray and Lokomotiv Moscow will be playing, and Porto and Shellac will be facing off each other. So basically, what I want to break down here very quickly is that only two teams can advance. And you'll notice that some of these groups have a very weak team in them. And basically, I'm bringing this up because for the example of Red Star Belgrade, you're going to see the situation where PSG, Napoli, and Liverpool are all going to have extremely similar, if not absolutely identical records coming towards the final week. And it's all going to depend on who beat Red Star Belgrade the worst, because one of the first tiebreakers is goal differential. Obviously before that is how they played each other in a previous match. But goal differential is a huge tiebreaker, and very often it comes to that because very often there's draws between the bigger teams. So I'm interested to see how Red Star Belgrade get beat by everyone. I'm not saying that they're not going to do well. I think they actually have a chance to score today against Napoli. So it's more of a situation of down the road here when Liverpool and PSG play Red Star. You're going to want to really pay attention to that because, especially with the result today, if they draw today, it's going to depend on who beats Red Star by a better score line. The similar thing can be said in Group D for Lokomotiv Moscow. They're probably the weaker of the group here. So what's going to happen is that I'm predicting Porto and Galatasaray will be getting through, and both of them are going to really have to hand it to Moscow here in order to actually guarantee a spot getting to this group. It's very tough. Shalak's a very good team too, so I'm not suggesting that those are the only options from this group, but in terms of Moscow, it's going to depend on who beats them worse. And much can be said again about Eindhoven in Group B, which is an absolute disaster group. Whoever beats Eindhoven worse is going to end up a better spot. And again, the same can kind of be said for Club Brugge, though I don't think that group is as tight as a lot of other people may consider, but we'll get to that in a bit more whenever we get to the game breakdowns. But I just wanted to break down the groups a little bit. That's something to watch out for in Champions League, where it's really important whenever you're coming into team selection, which teams or game stacks you're looking to use. And a lot of times there's teams that don't need to win as seriously as other teams this early in the stage, first couple of weeks. So I think it could be very important here for certain teams to come out and get a really good result. In particular, Napoli's going to have to score 4 or 5 goals this week if they have any hope whatsoever of competing with Liverpool and PSG further down the road. And the same situation, Galatasaray at home has to score at least 3 goals if they want any kind of leg up here in the rest of the group. So that's something to consider here today. But basically now what I want to do is try and give everyone a really quick rundown of my process of how I study for Champions League. The first thing I always do is I'll have the 2 sites open here. You can see the FanDuel and the DraftKings. For those who are wondering, yes, that's $40, not $400 or $4,000. I'm not a big bankroll from week to week. I keep my bankroll on the sites pretty slim, and I deposit whenever a bigger tournament comes and interests me, like the Millionaire Maker, for example, or the Back Heel on DraftKings, those kind of tournaments. But for the most part, I try and keep $50 in my sites at all given times, just in case for some reason some night I feel like playing some MLB or something along those lines, and I have the money to play any tournament I want on any given night, you know. So it's not a big deal to me to keep money on the actual sites. So as you look through here, the very first thing I always look at is goaltenders. It's always the first place I go. Not so much on FanDuel, but especially on DraftKings. The very first place I go on DraftKings is the goalkeepers, because DraftKings prices the goalkeepers precisely by favorites. That always isn't the case, as you see in forwards, where Neymar is priced as the top, and PSG is in no way the biggest favorite this slate. So I usually start at goalkeepers, and as you can see, Napoli's the biggest favorite, Atletico is second biggest. Muslera, who we'll get to a little bit. This is a little bit of going against what I literally just said. Galatasaray aren't that big of favorites, but Muslera is such an incredible keeper that he's going to be priced up a little bit. Then you have like the Dortmunds. Shalak shows up. Liverpool with Alisson. Porto, Casillas, I'll be talking about him. I assure you that. And the PSGs. So obviously everyone can understand from this that it's very likely that Liverpool are favored over PSG at home. And I think that's pretty imperative of how this slate may actually play out. But we'll start a little bit in FanDuel too. I think that's important because I think there's some really serious price differentials that a lot of times you have to just notice right away. And I usually try and look at that for goalkeepers. And the first one I noticed this slate was that, again, Muslera is priced way cheaper than he should be at only $5K. You just don't walk into Turkey and win, period. So I'll talk a little bit more of that later, but that's usually the very first place I look. And then, the usual, I'll look down the list here and see who I like and try and see if there's any names, first of all, that I recognize in Champions League. Because from year to year, obviously stars usually stay in the same teams, but there's certain guys here. One in particular this week that I'm really looking forward to is Hakimi on Dortmund, who played for Real Madrid last year. Don't know if he's going to be starting. We'll talk about that in a bit too, but that's just that gives you an idea. He played for Real Madrid in all the games last year in the Champions League, so he's a name, and you know what he can do, and he's cheap in comparison to some of these other names in defense. But one of my other things I like to do here, obviously, is look at the schedule, get an idea who's playing who, because generally speaking, from the main slate, you can break things down pretty quickly. Like Dortmund's probably going to be Club Brugge. This is going to be a really tight game. Atletico Madrid, they're always going to never score more than 2 goals. Like, you wonder where Jose Mourinho got his 2-0, 2-1 victory strategy from. It's the Atletico Spanish Madrid special. That's all they do. We'll talk about that a little bit. Obviously, the PSG Liverpool, that takes some looking into. Napoli should pound Red Star Belgrade, right? Assumedly, and generally that's how it goes. Galatasaray is at home against Moscow, and basically any Russian team, again, they're fairly boring, fairly flat. They usually don't, especially away from home. You can't blame them, but away from home, they rarely score more than a goal or two. So that's just more reason to use Muslera. But that's basically the slate for today is these 6 games. So you can start to get to an idea what teams you want to target: Dortmund, Madrid, Napoli, Galatasaray. We'll talk about that. Maybe some Porto, maybe some Schalke. Both of them are very even interesting teams. But the first thing I do generally is I go to a site called Transfer Market. I just a disclaimer here. This is just what I do. I have no affiliation whatsoever with this site. RotoPros does not endorse this site, nothing. This is just my thing, what I do. And basically what you do is you go up to the top here and you search a team. So let's take a team that you kind of want to learn about this week that we may not know much about. Let's start with Dortmund. So everyone can find their own type of site, but generally speaking, if you're not investing a ton of money into your research, if you're not buying a ton of different packages and things, and you need to do things for free, there's tons of different sites out there that can help you. And this is one of my personal favorites. As you can see here, it gives the entire list here. And generally speaking, Dortmund's a pretty well-known team. You can notice their injuries. You see who's injured. That's too bad. Guerrero is one of the best DFS options in the entire world as a wing back, so it's too bad he's out. But still, they have some good players here. But basically, what you want to do is look at their past few games. And I like this website because what it allows me to do is you can bring up the previous fixtures, take a good look. But it shows you exactly the formation, who came off when, what, who scored, who did what. But I really find this is important because what it tells you right away is you can see who scored the goal and who got the assist. But more importantly, for these European teams, you may not know from time to time who does what, especially on set pieces, which can be incredibly crucial. And as you can see here, Jacob Brun-Larsen took a corner and it got an assist. So you can assume already that he at least takes some corners. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but that's their first game. You can see another game here. They tied 0-0, so you won't really get too much information other than their formation. But that's also available right here too. And we'll take a look at another team here in a second to give you a different idea. And there's some more Dortmund. And again, it gives you a really good breakdown of how the assist happened. So you see here, assist Marco Reus from a free kick. So again, Reus is probably going to be taking the majority of the free kicks. Now, interestingly enough, Götze also plays in this team, but you won't see his face once in the field all season so far. And he was, up until a few months ago, a legitimate superstar previous to the World Cup. So it's pretty surprising Mario Götze isn't in the playing, even seeing minutes at all. But you can see Reus is, like I said, Marco Reus isn't coming off the field. He's playing basically every minute of every game, getting set pieces. So instantly, just from these few minutes of research, you already have a cash lock because you know Dortmund's going to be doing really well at Club Rouge, and Ruiz is taking some free kicks. So that's instantly, he is already, for those who don't know, an incredible player, but it just kind of helps instantly. It just shows you how quickly with free information you can bring stuff up here. So let's think of another quick team here. Excuse me. Porto. Let's take a look at Porto because I wanted to take a look here at a team that I haven't actually looked at yet so that we can look at them together, and I can show you exactly how I break it down, see if it'll load here. Of course, we need things to load. Let's see, Porto. There we go. Okay, so for those who don't know, Isco Casillas is one of the most historic keepers in the entire world. He's literally at Buffon level. He was Spanish talented before Spain got talented. Like, he was the keeper for Spain for, I want to say, a solid decade to 15 years. Incredible keeper. We get him for incredible prices this slate. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But just you can look at some names here. Alex Telles is one of the best crossers in the entire world. And again, I have a feeling we're going to get him at a 5.5 to 5K range kind of salary this slate. And again, it's just like an instant easy lock, you know. Prayer was really good a couple of years ago too. He used to be a winger that converted back to a wing back. So like, there's some names there. Abukabar, anyone that's played Champions League DFS before, here's what money looks like. Take a look into these eyes. This is what money looks like in DFS. Vincent Abukabar. This guy will score you 2 goals like it's his job. It's incredible. He's a GPP gem every single slate. I'm pretty excited to see him still on Porto. That's pretty awesome. Cameroon. He's actually the second all-time Cameroon scorer, only behind Samuel Eto'o. So he's legit. It's pretty awesome to get a shot at him. So we can take a look at Porto's recent games here, just to give you a quick idea again. You can see that, again, this is excellent because they use the exact same formation every single game. Sometimes teams will use different formations every single game, and it's really hard for us to try and predict what they'll be doing. So you can see this is Porto here. I believe this is their most recent game, so that's excellent. Abukabar came off, which means he'll probably be playing 90 minutes this week against Shellac. That's usually an indication. If you notice someone's come off early in their most recent game, that usually means they're going to be played here pretty solid. Brahmi's incredible player. Again, you've seen Brahmi. He was in the Premier League for years. Excellent winger. So there you go. Talis is there again, and Pereira. Like I was saying, 2 incredible wing backs options, and you have a Casillas. So instantly, before you even consider their opponent, we know that Porto is going to have an incredible stacking option at the back. I'll play 90 minutes, and I'll be honest with you, the Spanish and Portuguese teams are kind of trademarked for their wing back crossing. So basically speaking, anytime you have the option, take a Spanish wing back. Doesn't even matter who it is. If he's playing wing back and he's on a Spanish or Portuguese team, just put him in your lineup and you're probably going to be okay. Their floor is always pretty solid. So we can take another look here. That's kind of concerning that he's coming off the field again. I wonder at what minute. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. But speaking here, this means that he's not going to be seeing 90 minutes, and it looks like Andre Pereira has been seeing lots of minutes here. Last couple of games, Abukabar has been taken off rather early. When was it this game? 64 minutes. Again, 64 minutes. That's dangerous to me, unfortunately, and he's one I've been looking forward to him all season. I was hoping he was still on Porto. Okay, let's take a look at some other games here. So actually, let's take a look. Pass, free kick, Alex Telles. There you go. Bam. We know who's taking free kicks for them. And guess what? Telles also takes their corner kicks. Guess who should be your #1 defender that you lock instantly today, basically regardless of salary? Alex Telles. We'll look at his salary here in a little bit, but just, again, really quick research, and you instantly got. Now, I have a little bit of base knowledge coming to this. I'll admit that like I knew Talis was good ahead of time, but this just shows you instantly he's a really good play. I just happen to know he's spectacular. And again, we can see, at least the Bookbar got 9 minutes there. Hopefully he gets 9 minutes. I'm going to risk it in GPP at least. It's really hard not to. But again, you see Pereira, Casillas, Tellez still getting nonstop minutes. And, I hope that's a penalty shot. Oh, I hope that's Tellez taking penalty shots too. Oh my, that would be pretty crazy if Tellez is actually taking penalty shots. Assisted handball. Oh, wow. And free kicks. Oh, my. Tellez. Oh, my. Okay, we'll keep looking here a little bit, see what else we can find here. Pass without assist. Shot on goal. Okay. Abukbar had a really good game. That's good to see early in the season. But, yeah, I think that gives you a good idea how I break things down. One more site I want everyone to take a look at. Or I don't want you to. This is what I do. It's called Free Super Tips. I've been looking at these guys for years. They're excellent stuff. Really, really great at what they do. And not only that, they basically preview every single game across the world. So if you're looking for some interesting free reads, again, RotoPros has no endorsement. I do not endorse this outside my own opinion. We have no affiliation. I just really happen to like them, and I've been using them for years, and it's really good information. You can see here, we'll break down the Galatasaray for you, and you can see they have a really incredible write-ups about every single game, some really good stats, but just to give everyone an idea, this is basically where you can give yourself a really good foundation if you know nothing about the sport, just to read this and really be able to rely on. And most importantly, it's free. So that's basically one of my favorite things to check into for sure. But yeah, so we can look back really quickly at the groups, and you can see here. So what we're expecting today is a full D, full C, and full A. And let's jump right into the breakdown here. So again, Dortmund and Bruges. So the thing about this is Belgium teams always perform at home in the Champions League, and it's not entirely the most fun thing in the world to deal with, because it only takes a red card, and all of a sudden you have a Belgium team that costs nothing that's about to be the greatest cash and GPP plays of the slate. Anderslecht has been representing Belgium for the last couple of years, and notoriously they always have one wing back who always ends up crossing. And I don't know who it is. Let's see if we can find out here. This is usually the Belgium special. What they end up doing is they have a player who at the wing back will just absolutely cross and have a floor of 10 and cost 3K. So let's take a quick look at Club Brugge again. Or I shouldn't say again. Let's take a look at them here. Okay, so it looks like they play. I bet they do this every single game. Every single game. Yeah, okay. So it's one of these weird formations. They're going to get torn up unless they come at this in a completely different way. Their formation is just going to get absolutely shredded. And here's Anderslecht. Like I said, this has been the representative for this country, or this league, I should say, this region for the past couple of years. So 2-1's pretty good score line. Yeah, 3-5-2. Same defenders most games, probably. Header from a corner. Hand. Okay. So there instantly we know Han Vanaken takes corners. 3rd assist this season. Sounds like he's a pretty good crosser. Plays center midfielder. Okay, that's a bummer. We could have hoped for a little bit more luck there, but that's okay. Let's take a look at a couple more of the other games here. I say it's a bummer because usually you want those set-piece players to be in viable positions that are going to be producing, and there's Vanaken, and that's just not especially in this formation, that's not really the most viable position. But here we go. Money, Kaval. Okay. He also looks like he comes off the field a little bit. coming off the field. Didn't even play. So yeah, interesting. I'm not really targeting Club Bruges. This slate, they cause me a little bit more concern more than something I really want to target, especially defensive wise. I have literally no interest. I'll talk about Voss whenever we get to the breakdown here, but yeah, the real thing I wanted to check here was their formation. See if Nakin gets any more assists from corners. Oh, Boston took a penalty. Look at that. Pass. Okay, interesting. In the press that I've been reading, Boston is just getting talked up through the roof for this team. So he's someone I've been considering. But yeah, let's just jump right back into this here. Sorry. So Dortmund and Club Bruges. The thing is that Dortmund haven't been playing very well so far this season. They have been conceding at a rate which causes me concern that they may just concede today. They are pretty injured, but the thing that really interests me, and the first thing I noticed about them this slate, was they have a few value guys that are just through the roof, obscene, borderline lock plays in a couple, in the different sites here. So the first guy is obviously I was talking about Hakimi, only 4.6K, used to play for Real Madrid, legitimate player. You don't have to worry about whether or not he has skill enough to produce for you. The guy's talented. Like I said, Real Madrid played every man for them in the Champions League last season. So I have no problem looking to him if he ends up starting. One of the main reasons I'm talking about him is because their wingbacks have been absolutely atrocious this season. So especially in terms of like their standard of play. So I'm not really looking to target the Dortmund wingbacks. And I know a lot of people will be. It's Pisnik and Schnelzer. My God, I butchered that. I'm sorry. Schmelzer. Yeah, that's right. Jeez, I'm brutal, everyone. I apologize for that. But yeah, basically, I'm not really looking to target these two unless Hakimi's starting, because then you can get a super discount. Pilsnik's just Pilsnek. He's been brutal this season, so I'm just really not looking to attack those two unless it's Hakimi. Now, Kagawa's about to be sold. He won't be playing. Pulisic's hopefully making a start this slate, which is something I'm definitely looking for GPP. Cash, I'm not, because there's a pretty good chance he's probably just going to be coming off. But in terms of what I'm expecting from a GPP, that would be excellent. Midfield forward is always great to see for Marco Reus, for anyone of that caliber. And only 8.3K, like we talked about, he's going to be taking free kicks. So that's a really, really good value on some other guys where are in the 10Ks and 9Ks and doing the exact same thing. Like I said, Gote hasn't seen the field this season, so that's 6.2K in terms of the DraftKings scripting. Could be pretty huge. That could be massive coming later down here whenever we have to make some salary decisions. But right below him is one of my locks this slate, Jadon Sancho. I believe he's British. I believe he's owned by Man City. He's come on as a substitute for them 3 times in their 3 games, and he's been absolutely flames for them every single second. So I'm expecting him to get the start this slate. It hasn't been confirmed, but that's just something that I'm really hoping for, especially at 5.8K. That lock City and draft in cash or GPP because again we're expecting Dortmund to score some goals. And then up front, there's really no reason to go outside Marco Reus. Excuse me. Maximilian Philip isn't even a forward. He's not very good. He's battling for a place in the starting 11 right now. So you don't really have to worry about him. At 7.3K, it's just not worth it. Like, sure, GPP, maybe if why are you spending 7.3K on maybes though? I'd be more excited about someone like Alexander Isaac, who in 5 years is going to be a household name, especially in Champions League. He's a Swede. He's incredible. Get used to his name. You'll be seeing him a lot in the future. But now we can jump to the Bruges side a little bit. The German sides just don't lose very often to the Belgians, and when they do, it's usually because like a red card or something silly like that. So I don't really like Ledeka. I think Dortmund are worth 4 goals this game. They're going to come out flying, but it's basically going to come from set pieces in their midfield. I don't have any issues with thinking about center backs. Their 2 center backs on Dortmund are Akani and Zagadou, and they have been incredible for them this season. So I'm really not too concerned if you want a GPP with one of them. Do it up. They both have some distant value. Jeremy Toulahan, I don't expect him to start, but he was a gem in Champions League last season as a punch and play. He popped in a couple times. But, yeah, in terms of the defense from Bruges, they're just there's nothing really there because there's 3 center backs, right? And they play as the midfielders. So basically, there's one of them right there, and like 4.5K if you want to see Van Aken. Wow, 3.5K if he met. What does he really need from 3.5K? How many corners? How many free kicks? How many anything really? That's tough for me to look past 3.5K, especially in a GPP, because you don't even need him to hit a ceiling. Just a simple floor from 3.5K could be a lot. But yeah, the one guy I want to talk about here is Vossen from 4.4K and Wesley from 4.3K. Dortmund haven't given us anything this season to suggest that they should be a walking clean sheet like some other teams we have in this slate. So I don't know. I have no problem taking a solo shot on 4.3 or 4.4 in GPP. They should start. Wesley's probably seen 90 minutes, but I like Vossen a little bit more. He does have that penalty upside, as we just saw. But from what I've been reading, he is a talent. He just hasn't been fully healthy and fully minutes yet this season. So hopefully he'll get a really good shot this slate. Because if you're familiar with last season at all and Berkey, I'm sure he's a great guy. He's just not a very good Champions League goaltender. As you can see, he led APOEL from Denmark, I want to say. I can't remember last season. Greece. Rob, you're dropping the ball here. But yeah, basically last season he was getting lit up at will, and nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing has changed, and nothing is to suggest that if APOEL can score on a Dortmund, there's no reason Bruges can't, and that's why I really do like the Voss and Wesley. I don't even mind a game stack here. I think Roos and Pulisic are both totally viable, along with Sancho, and then you can bring it back with whichever one. I think Voss and whichever one you think would be most likely to score, because there should be goals in this game. Both sides should score, and Dortmund should be worth at least 3 or 4 goals. But I like them all to come from this guy right here, Marco Reus. Switch over to the next game here. Atletico Madrid and Monaco. I want to talk about Monaco first because a lot of people remember the Monaco team from last year and be eager to jump all over them. And unfortunately, they're in no way the same team they were last year. As you can see, basically, all their big players are injured. Subasek is one of the best goaltenders in the world. He showed that in the World Cup this summer. Won't be playing him. Their defense has never really been a crossing defensive core anyways. As you can see from last season's scores here, there just wasn't really anything to speak of. Raggy wasn't even on the team last year. Gillick was. This was their big player last year at the back. As you can see, this was the running score until basically against Porto in like a crazy game. He finally cashed in. Gillick, don't get me wrong, Glick's not a bad player at all. And he's a national, but there's just nothing to look at there. Ronnie Lopez hurting, Golovkin, probably their only hope at any kind of excitement. The Russian playmaker won't be getting a shot at him. Falcao's most likely not going to be playing. Jovacek again, the Montenegro forward, incredible. Both these two are incredible. Falcao is like fine wine. I think he's like 40 something now, and he's still getting it done. But injured, probably won't be playing this weekend. Pellegrini is one of the future stars of the world again, just like Isaac. Remember this name. You're going to be hearing about him a lot, but definitely not this weekend. You won't be able to play him. And Atletico Madrid. So I don't know. It's hard not to immediately think Atletico Madrid is going to walk into a CS bonus here, a clean sheet. And that's even before realizing and remembering that they're basically the best defense in the entire world. These guys are incredible. They're never going to let in more than one goal most of the time. Oh, look at that against Chelsea. I ate my words. But basically the idea here is that that's probably a great cash play. The issue with Atletico Madrid as a whole is their production is extremely low, from goalkeeper all the way to forward. Whether it's Oblak only seeing a few shots a game, again the 7 was against Chelsea, but you can see here Roma only got got the 1 shot on net. Farbach, anyone remembers them? They managed a couple shots, which is impressive. Again, Chelsea only got 2 shots. Again, Roma only got 1 shot. Make him save. Excuse me. When I say shots, I mean allowed him to make a save. So it's tough, right, to really look for a ceiling with that. And if he does happen to concede, you're in serious trouble. But he's basically a walking clean sheet bonus. And it just so happens they're playing a super injured Monaco team without any attacking threat. So it's really hard not to immediately think Jan Oblak and cash. And it just so happens, like I talked about earlier, he happens to have 2 of the most appealing defenders in the entire slate, with Philip Luis and Juan Fran, who at only 4.7K is an absolute steal. The guy's legitimate as they come. He took a red card last, or was it Flip Luis that took the red card last Champions League, and it threw everyone into an absolute haywire. Anyways, Flip Luis is excellent too. He has an incredible floor all around the board. Probably one of the best defensive plays, especially in GPP, where catching that clean sheet bonus would send him to double digits, and maybe one of the best raw points players of the slate. And you can easily pair that with Juan Fran and try and triple down in this CS bonus, because Juan Fran's easily got a floor of 5 points. And Flip Luis is looking at double digits. So it's hard not to with that clean sheet bonus just waiting there to be had. Those prices are good, and like Diego Godin's arguably the best center back in the world right now. The pair, these two are the Uruguayan center backs paired on the same club team, so you can almost guarantee these salaries. Like, you have to understand a little bit. DraftKings prices a lot of times based on last year's statistics, especially for Champions League. And Gimenez and Godin haven't even been priced from the World Cup, which they would be sky high. So, like, even look at that. That's with a clean sheet. You know, imagine getting a clean sheet on 8.5. And I don't know. Again, it's really, you can pick either or here. I probably like Godin a little bit more just because he's the captain, and I would trust him that a little bit more. But yeah, there's your instant walking clean sheets. You can even take all 3 and save a little bit in one of the center backs. It's great midfield. Incredible, really. Koke is one of the better crossers and the consistent crossers. Again, you can see here, incredible floor from last season. That hasn't changed this season. Lamar's come in, which is kind of an interesting introduction. He played in Russia last season. So it's a different look for sure. He's been brutal so far this season, though, which is kind of concerning. He's French. He played a few minutes sparingly in the World Cup, but he isn't something in case he's starting. Again, I'm not paying 7.3 for Lamar. He just hasn't been good enough this season. Korea never sees 90 minutes, Angel Korea, so I'm just not interested in someone like that. As I said, oh, there's this one from last season, but it doesn't change again. Martins, Gelson. I was saying Galedo. Gelson Martins played for Sporting Lisbon last season. Incredible winger, super speedy. Sal, you're going to see him in FanDuel priced way higher, I can assure you that. 5.3 isn't really that big of a steal because he kind of needs that goal to pay off. He's more of a defensive 5-pass consecutive kind of bonus guy. But, yeah, he's another player that you can probably rely on if you're desperate for someone who is not going to completely screw you over from a 5K range. But, yeah, the real area you want to look at here is Diego Costa and Griezmann. I'm not entirely sure, obviously, how they're going to line up here, but one thing you can be assured of is Griezmann's one of the better cash plays of the slate. Takes the penalty shots, which Atletico Madrid have this uncanny ability of getting. Takes a lot of the corners. 90 minutes, played for France, won a World Cup, big player, world-class star, 10K, hard to say no. He's probably going to be my lock in cash. The reason I'm not going to take them in GPP is, as I said, Atletico Madrid are too subproductive in order to risk in GPP for a ceiling. You need Griezmann to get 3 goals, and even then, he'll be lucky to score outside of what his goals are worth in DFS production. So it's just not something I'm looking for in GPP, but in cash, easily locking Griezmann. They're going to absolutely trout Monaco here, even Monaco at home. Again, I'm really not expecting Monaco to score a goal. Probably 2-0, 1-0 Atletico win with Griezmann being in on all the goals. However many Atletico score, it's not going to be much, but he's going to be in on them. PSG and Liverpool. Now, this is just something I want to touch on quickly. It's impossible not to play Neymar in cash, especially over Salah. Quite simply, Salah doesn't take all the free kicks, the penalty shots, is the vocal point of the attack. Neymar is. The questionable designation is because they didn't even put him on the 18-man squad this weekend. They're resting him for this game. He's going to see 90 minutes. He's incredible in terms of cash. Easily my first 2 guys I'm locking in for cash are Neymar and Griezmann, excuse me. A lot of people are going to gravitate towards Salah at home, and I don't blame them, but that's more of a GPP play for me. I'll just touch on this really quickly because it's such a big game, and there's a lot of things to say. Trent Alexander-Arnold's going to cross the ball no matter what. It doesn't matter who it's against. 5.5 is a little steep against PSG because there's no clean sheet bonus. But again, in cash, if you have to, yes. I think Sadio Mane makes an incredible pivot. He's just been fire this season. And him and Mbappe each actually in GPP are where I'm going to look if I'm going to do anything in this game. Honestly, I'm not giving this game too much thought. I'm not touching the forwards in terms of Cavani or Di Maria or Firmino. The thing is, PSG is not the same team away from home, plain and simple. They'll lose games. They'll let in 4 goals. They'll only score a goal or 2. They'll be incredibly frustrating. You don't have to worry about Neymar not getting 13 to 15 fantasy points. It's going to happen except there. Well, yeah, against Real Madrid. That's not overly surprising. I'm pretty sure, yeah, he took a yellow card. He would have had his 13 to 15 fantasy points if it wasn't for the yellow card. So, like, there's your cash play. Like, Neymar is your cash play. You don't have to worry about that. But in terms of ownership, I'm definitely going to pivot to Mbappe and Mane and GPPs. And maybe if I'm in a really tight heads up, I may just go Mbappe instead of Neymar and try and spend elsewhere a little bit because I think there are some salary edges. But there isn't too much really really to look at in terms of like an edge in this game. Everyone knows these players. Everyone knows what they do. It's just a matter of approaching it from game theory and how you want to try and pivot the ownerships. And like I said, Mbappe and Mane are my GPP plays from this game for sure. And if you have to, I'm not going to, but if you have to, Alexander-Arnold can go in your cash. But there's not going to be a clean sheet. So nope. I'm sorry to everyone there. Just not going to happen. Well, it could, but you're going to be pulling your hair out if either of these teams get clean sheeted because there's so much salary involved that you need a 3-2 game. It's absolutely possible and very much in the cards. But yeah, like I said, don't try and pick the points. Pick the ownership in GPP, and in cash, pick the points. But yeah, this game is what I want to talk about. Galatasaray and Lokomotiv. Here's what's up. You don't walk into Turkey and win games. It just doesn't happen. Turkey soccer fans. It's not... Anything, nothing, not showing any of the flares, how scary it is, how absolutely terrifying, how every single person is looking to tear your throat out. You just don't do it. You don't walk into Turkey and win games. It just so happens Lokomotiv Moscow is one of the weaker teams in the entire tournament. And no matter who they go up against coming from Moscow, they're going to be pushed to score more than one goal. So instantly, every time they leave Russia, we can kind of say, okay, they're probably not going to score a goal. Let's instantly look at the other team's goaltender. Muslera, 5.3K. Let's compare that to the rest of them for a second. Napoli. So he's the third most expensive keeper, and easily outside of Black, easily the best keeper of this entire slate. International, geez, like he played World Cup. I'm pretty sure it was Uruguay too. Uruguayan, yeah, incredible. Captain of Galatasaray, like legitimate star, and only 5.3K against a team that's not going to score. And he's at home. And that home happens to be Turkey. Like everything's going for Muslera. I'm having trouble not playing him in every single card this slate. I think there's some other options, obviously, like I said, with the walking clean sheet with Yan. But Muslera, just impossible not to look at for either format. But whenever you have to look at their defenders, it gets a little bit tricky because, again, we don't really know much about them. Here's their two wingbacks, Linez and Nagamato. Now, the really important thing to notice here is that Mariano sometimes comes on for Linez. Nagamato is basically guaranteed 90 minutes, 4.3K at home for Galatasaray. If you're not familiar with Nagamato, let me give you a really quick rundown. He's Japanese wingback, really good, loves to cross the ball. I have no problem with this guy in any format. 4.3K is an absolute steal for anyone this talented at home, and he happens to be an absolute speedster. I would say his floor is probably around 4 crosses this game. That may be a ceiling too, but it's just the CS bonus. I don't see him taking a lot of fouls. He isn't an abrasive player. He's very shifty. He's a Japanese player, the prototypical Japanese player, what you would think. This is your guy. Yuto Nagamato, lock him in at 4.3K. On DraftKings especially, I have no issue with that salary. We'll take a look at him here in FanDuel quickly. But yeah, that's basically where I'm looking in Galatasaray. They don't have a lot. The interesting thing is that Rodriguez is the backup set piece taker to Akbagba. So there's a chance here that Akbagba won't be playing. We'll talk about that more when we get to FanDuel. But in terms of this slate, if Rodriguez, I'm considering that. That's a little bit expensive. But I'm considering that from 4.6K. But the one guy I want to talk about here is Derdivic. He's played 90 minutes all season. I can't see him coming off the field. 6.9K at home. Locomotive are not that good at the back. So there's no reason to think here that he doesn't have a shot even at 2 goals. That would be his ceiling, but 6.9K is absolutely nothing to ask. Now, Gumas and Oniraku usually play the wings, but they're sub-heavy. They get subbed off a lot. So they're not really huge targets for me. This is where my target's absolutely going to be from Galatasaray. And not a cash play, 6.9K. That's absolutely a GPP gem in the waiting, though, as someone I'm really looking at here. And Lokomotiv, like I said, there really isn't too much to say here. They're going to have a few guys that do pretty well. Jeremy Farfan, or Jefferson, Farfan, you would have noticed him from the World Cup this summer. Incredible player. But like I said, there isn't a lot of ceiling to be had here. I think I saw Ribas, and if I remember correctly, he was an excellent crosser of the ball in the past. I don't think who he played for. He plays for a winger and a wing back. Let's take a look at Lokomotiv Moscow and transfer market here really quickly and see what they look like. Okay. Eder. I recognize Eder for sure. He's played some games for Portugal. Manuel Fernandez is another guy you'll recognize too. He's played in Russia for a while. But let's take a quick look here. See if we get an idea. Oh, geez, that's not. You don't want to be losing games to Krandasor and Orenburg. These guys are going to get crushed by Galatasaray. They're going to take one step into the arena and they're going to pee their pants. Oh, I was going to say Dmitry Berbatov is not playing for Lokomotiv Moscow. And if he was going to instantly be my favorite of the season. Gregorz Krychuk, I recognize him. He played, he's a defensive midfielder. He played for PSG for a few years. Probably won't garner too much DFS relevance, but just a name. It looks like he's staying on the field too. And Denisov, another really popular name in Russia. Smolnov's an injury. Did you watch the World Cup this summer? 4.8K? Oh, my. Oh, that's tough to look away from, too. Galatasaray, don't come back to bite me. And there's Ribas. He is playing. That's good to see. He's getting some minutes. Didn't come off the field either. So, yeah, that's interesting. Dynamo Moscow is a really good team, so they're going to be coming into this half sharp. But geez, that's a bad record this season. They must not even be in any kind of a qualifying spot so far. So you'll see they take the weirdest breaks in this league. So yeah, that's basically my my thoughts about the Russian teams. That's generally how they break down. But quickly here, we'll keep slugging along here with Schalke and Porto before we get to the final game here. But in terms of this one, again, Porto aren't great at keeping clean sheets. It's a huge problem, but at the same time, Casillas is legitimately one of the greatest keepers of the modern era. So 4.6K for a keeper that defines modern football is just too cheap, especially when you 5.5. Look at that. Brilliant. There, I'll save you some trouble. There. Just repeatedly do this over and over. Do you like money? This is what you should be doing a lot today. Just try it one more time in case you missed it. Find Tallis and just click. I swear, if he doesn't start, I'm going to be so bitter and so tilted. But yeah, that's definitely one of the first things you should be doing. In GPP, this may be the second thing you want to do, and this may be the third thing you want to do. 4.3. I don't expect him to cross like Tallis, but that's a lock. That's Jose Holobas numbers for 5.5K. So the only reason they're marked down is that they're traveling to Germany for this game. But yeah, I'll talk about Schlock in a minute too. Porto has been flamed. Schlock hasn't been. So I have no problem with that in any kind of GPP setting. Kind of to tie in with the Atletico, same idea. Do it with Porto. The wing backs are just too good. They're just too good to ignore. So there's no reason not, especially 4.3K, no reason not to do that. Again, Yancine Brahmi, incredible player, excellent winger. Wasn't the same player last year, as you can see, but he played a little bit more of a central role last year. Wasn't really passing as much. Prayer is someone I was looking at. Does again last season. There's a little bit of different makeup with the same players this season. So Hector Herrera, you'll notice, remember him from the summer from Mexico. He's the team captain, plays every minute of every game. I'm hoping to get Otavio here on the wing. He's a winger. It sucks he only plays 45 minutes last season. He's getting 90 minutes this season. I can't guarantee it, obviously, but that's someone I'm definitely looking at for 4.9K going up against a Schlack team that should concede. And there's my man, Abukbar. Honestly, he'll get you 2 goals. Let's take a look at last year. Look at against Monaco. Okay, thanks, 35. Thanks for that, Slate. Thanks for this again against Monaco. You don't say. Played excellent against Real Leipzig, both games. Besiktas went on to do incredible that tournament, so you can expect that. And basically every game is a write-off when you're playing Liverpool. So yeah, I have no problem if he starts. He's absolutely going to be making my GPP lineups, and one of the best ways to really afford some really interesting names in DraftKings and GPPs is to start off by doing this with your cards. I think this is an incredible way because DraftKings has the mid forwards, right? So you can put Neymar in here, where in FanDuel you can't. So I just think that's super important. Again, Mbappe, Reus, look, that's not asking too much, especially when you throw in someone like Jordan Sancho and Otavio. You're flying at that point. You can easily Tellus doesn't even put you over that. It's really hard not to jump all over something like that for this slate. But yeah, continuing on, we'll take a quick look here at Shellac. There isn't really a whole lot to look at here, and I'll tell you why. They've been playing brutal this season. Oath's been getting minutes, so I'm not going to deny him the respect he deserves. But in terms of Schlack in general, they have been very, very, very bad this season. I don't know. I'm not really looking. There's this one name that keeps popping up every season in Champions League, and if you ignore him, he's going to go out and he's going to score a bunch of goals on you. Ask any Man United fan what they think of Briel Mbolo. It's not going to end well. I'm surprised his points are showing up here. He caused problems last year. So not for Shellac, obviously. He was on the Swiss side. I believe it was Basel last year. We can even take a look. I know he's a future star for sure. Yeah, Swiss. He played in Basel last year and absolutely tore Man United apart for a couple goals. Let's take a quick look here. Yeah, FC Basel, exactly. And I bet she's going to talk about how he did something about Man United. No? Okay. Anyways, I could be thinking of another Basel forward, but I know Briel was on the team too. And I know someone scored 2 goals against Man United and everyone freaked out, and it was awesome. So, yeah, that's something to consider, but Oath's been getting the minutes, and I'm just not interested in Shellac this slate. That's not to say they can't score or they can't do well or they can't find a 2-2, but Porto is capable of scoring 4 goals easily. They've done that numerous times. Again, 5-2, 3 goals, 3. I think they may have lost that game. 3 goals. They won that game for sure. So, I don't know what to say. I'm more on the Porto side. They're more DFS friendly, and they happen to be the better of the 2 teams. But let's take a look at the last game here, and it's Napoli against Red Star. I'm not going to talk about Red Star very much at all because I think they're going to be absolutely pounded for 6 goals. But they do have a couple of interesting options here in terms of like Fardu Ben isn't like the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. But in terms of Red Star, there's just nothing really you want to deeply attack here. And one of the main reasons for that is Napoli should concede. Now, I'm going to give them that. That's why I'm okay with Fardu Ben. Napoli have conceded in 4 straight games against teams that have no business scoring on them. Traveling to Serbia. Let's have a discussion about traveling to Serbia. You want to talk about scary. Turkey's a little bit different in terms of pure passion. They will scare you with like blood curdling screams, and like, you know, they have no disdain for their physical health in terms of expressing their passion towards their team. Serbia is just straight tough. They're straight scary. They're straight like look at you and you instantly fear for your life. A little bit different than someone screaming at you. These guys will, the fans will straight up just look at you. And I'm not going to divulge too deeply into it. If you would like to hear more, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on the Slack. But yeah, Serbia, Red Star has an incredible history, both on and off the field. This isn't a team that you ask Arsenal last year. This isn't a team that you just walk into and think you're going to completely stunt. They're not that kind of team at home. We bring the scores up. Like, it's just not a game you're going to go in and absolutely blow a team out. Now, that being said, Napoli are a little bit different side, and they need to score 6 goals. I talked about that earlier with the groups. They need to score because if Napoli doesn't score enough goals, Liverpool and PSG, if they draw today, it's just whoever beats Red Star worse is going to go through, and Napoli will be left out because they didn't beat Red Star hard enough. So they could push this game for 6, and they're totally capable. Let's quickly run down their team. Ospina is supposed to be starting. Again, ask Arsenal. This isn't the kind of keeper you should be looking to use if you want to get a clean sheet bonus. Karazingas could see it. Ask Watford last season. There's a reason Watford are doing so good now. It sucks. Alex Murray is a future star. He's going to be one of the better keepers in the next generation of keepers here. Just a kid, but remember this name. He is going to be a standout player without question. But yeah, this is the next stop you want to make for your cash. 5.7, awesome. I was expecting a 6-7K. There you go. And here's step 3 for you. You want to see how to start your cash cards in DraftKings? I'll give you a really good idea. 1, 2, 3. If you really want to try and chase the CS bonus, put in Nagamato for no salary whatsoever, and then you can kind of go from there. But in terms of that, look at what happens whenever. That's not great, but I'll give you a few more shots here at some really cheap names. For example, going back to him, but yeah, the big thing here is for Napoli, Rui absolutely is tearing up the Italian league right now in crossing. It's not even close. So he's definitely Mario Ruiz, who I'm going to be going to in cash. It's too bad Guam's still hurt. He's really close to getting back to health. He just started training, but I can't see him coming in and let alone playing serious minutes. But this is where Napoli get really confusing because they have like 10 guys that can all play and they're all really good. Literally every single Diawara is a future French star and he's literally not going to see the field. Marco Rog, I think he's Croatian Croatian, exactly. Future Croatian star. Probably not going to see the field. Allen, current star, won't do anything because he plays defensive midfielder. Hamzik's the team captain. I like this from 5.5K in GPP. He takes a lot of direct free kicks, likes to take a lot of shots from distance. He doesn't get a lot of shots on net, but in terms of a guy that I really have no issue with in GPP, he takes basically a shot every game and a good one. He's most likely not coming off the field as team captain. I like him. GPP, same with Zelensky. He's been known to take a free kick or two. He's been known to take a penalty shot every now and then. He's just a random kind of GPP flyer. And from 6.5, that's kind of getting into the no zone, but I still have no issue with that. Mertens, no. He's not been playing at all this season. His minutes have been scant at best. He could jump in here for 60 minutes. He could even play 90 minutes. He's only played, I think, like 20 minutes tops so far this season. He hasn't even started. So no, don't be taking the, if he starts, don't take the risk of that. He's probably coming off at the 60th minute for one of these two, Caljon and Insigne. Now, my concern here again is minutes. They all can come off for each other, and they all can't play the same position. At the same time, excuse me. But as you can see very easily, very quickly by their numbers, they're not pushovers. They're going to put points on the board. And they're playing probably the weakest team of this entire slate. And going by goalies, they're the biggest favorite of the slate. It's hard not to take shots on these guys. I'm going to wait and see the starting lineup. I'm just not into Mertens. It won't be me this slate, and it was a lot last season. It just won't be me. Now, Milik is someone I'm definitely considering from 8.4. He takes their penalty shots. So if he is on the field, that's definitely who I'm going to be looking at in terms of another GPP flyer from 8.4. He isn't necessarily cash viable. He got seriously injured last season and missed a lot of time. But in terms of GPP, I got no problem with that. Now, what I want to quickly do here to finish up, excuse me, is quickly jump over in FanDuel. And let's take a look here and see if we can find some different salary discrepancies on some guys. Because there's a few guys over here that are, we can jump between and take a look at. So the first guy, obviously, Berkey's really expensive in Dortmund. And that's probably because they're expecting him to see the most shots and have the highest likely chance of winning. Napoli's not going to see as many shots, but still has a good chance at winning. I still think they're going to concede, though. Ospina isn't a good enough goalie. Conversely, Oblak's one of the best goalies in the world. Probably too cheap from 5.5K. He should be on top of those two. The reason this, again, Monaco, it's just not the same Monaco team. Casillas, 5K. I would like to, that kind of amplifies, how cheap he is over here at only the 4.6. So 5K as one of the top keepers. That's pretty significant to me over here that you can really rely on that in GPP. And then you get into the Muslera, 5K. Okay, if I have to. Sounds good. He should be at the very top. But as you go down, you'll see all the other names here. There isn't really anything else that necessarily stands out to me. It just shows you Allison's this low at home. Both teams are going to score. I don't even see it as a GPP viable. There's so many viable options that can make you money where that's just throwing away your money. And you see, again, Dortmund's the most expensive. Now, something that's interesting to me here is that Meunier is so expensive here. But where is he? Where is he? Wow, 4.5K. Thomas Meunier is one of the best wingbacks in the world. I don't know how well he's going to do against Liverpool at home and having to deal with Mane the entire game, but that's really hard to not use in DraftKings from that price, even against Liverpool. And like Godin shows you again why he's so dominant. Using this expensive FanDuel because he's just an incredible defender, incredible center back. And there's Jimenez again, still pretty. Trent Alexander-Arnold expensive now. Again, 5.5K. This guy should be all the way up there. Obviously, he doesn't take clearances and the things that FanDuel value more. But okay, 5.5K. And why? Why are these guys all the way down here? Again, I know they're not going to get interceptions and tackles and everything FanDuel love, but they should still draw some five straight pass bonuses and be clean sheet options from 5.5K. Okay. Again, Hakimi's down here too. Hopefully he gets that start. Wow, he's going to be cheap. But there's one name you haven't seen yet that I was talking about last time. There's Pereira. Still haven't seen him. Where is this guy? Where is this guy? Where are we? We're almost there. 4.5s. Mario Rui. Remember, we were just talking to him on Napoli. He's literally tearing the league apart in Napoli for Napoli right now in Italy. That's a huge misprice by biggest misprice of the slate. Either site is easily Mario Rui on FanDuel. Free play. You just kind of have to do this. I don't know what more to say here. Obviously, he wasn't the same player last season. That's probably where a lot of the salary is coming from. Maybe he'll get literally no 5-pass bonuses. Maybe he'll do literally no defensive stats. I don't know why he's this low, but yeah, free play. Absolutely must. If you're playing on FanDuel and you're not playing Mario Rui, you're just throwing your money away. That's obviously saying that I'm not guaranteed the best play ever, but yeah. I don't know how not to with that salary. And Nagamato, again, 4.5K. If you really want to add in some bangers, you could put Muslera there, and you're literally 4.5, 4.5, and 5K. That's good. You're going to be able to chalk the rest of your team with 9K players. Let's just quickly do that to give you an idea what that really looks like. 9.2. It's like let's just pick someone. Zelensky, yeah. So again, no, we can still go higher. Okay, well, let's go higher then. This is why Sal's so expensive over here, because he's a 5-pass bonus genius. You can still go higher. Okay, well, maybe I'll take some. I don't want Gote. Like, you don't even need that. You don't need that. That's more than enough. More than enough to fill out the rest of your card on this side. We'll take a look at some midfielders right now very quickly. So Sal is obviously, again, that pivot is just screaming at me. I think it's genius in GPP to just go Mane, because everyone will be on Saleh and wasting that extra 1,000. Herrera, excellent 5-pass option, going to be on the field the whole time. Another huge misscript. Götze is not playing. 9.5K is a huge scripting error. So maybe that's where some of these other salaries are coming into play. The Sal, again, like I said, 9K is reasonable. Even he's a cash option over here. Same with Koke. He's not the same kind of 5-pass option, but he's going to cross the ball enough. Hamza, there's your GPP option. Zelensky, GPP again. And you can see you're a little bit cheaper, nicer. Lamar, he's probably down where he deserves down here. Calgary is a really good player too on Shalak. I did mention him on DraftKings. Let's take a look at what his price is over here. 5. A little bit expensive for me over here. I think I would rather stay away from that. But yeah, I think there's still a couple names down here like Pulisic, but I still haven't talked about my biggest lock at the slate yet. Didn't see him yet. And on someone I'm considering for cash, he is a 5-pass bonus genius. He's had the highest passing percentage in Turkey now for multiple seasons. So I have no problem with that from 7K. If you want to be really sneaky and you need, because there's not a lot of 7K serious cash options here. So I think he's a really excellent option if you're looking for something a little bit different. But Witzel's going to be getting the start, hopefully, for Dortmund. It's another option. He 6.5K. He's a world-class player. Probably doesn't deserve to be that cheap over here. There's Otavio, like I was saying, 6K over here. Way too cheap. If we can get him for 90 minutes in the wing like he's been playing all season. Rogue, like I was talking about him too. Denisov, the captain, Lokomotiv Moscow. So we can keep scrolling down here, and then we start to get into the zone that I really like for one particular player. We'll get to him here. Bam. Here's my lock on both sites. Jordan Sancho on Dortmund. I wanted to wait and talk about him for a little bit. I know I talked to him a little bit earlier about how well he's been coming on as a sub, but the big thing here is look at his price. 5.8K, 5K. That's Rodriguez is there too, and this is someone else I want to talk about. 5K, where over here, you remember Rodriguez was 7K. 7.4K on Galatasaray. And over here, we can get him for 5K. So if, like we were talking about earlier, if his teammate there, I can't remember how to pronounce his name off the top of my head, Akbaba, if he ends up not starting, Rodriguez is a borderline lock again on FanDuel. And I think there's a few guys here in FanDuel again that are like incredibly too cheap. And if you use these names, you are absolutely like towering over everyone else in terms of salary. Just a good little skeleton here for everyone that you can get an idea of what I'm looking at. And then Muslera, like if you do that, one, two, three, easy, three, easy, easy from 12K. That's not a problem. So that gives you an idea over there, and then you can look at something the same thing over here. Let's find another really cheap midfielder that we can use in some sort of cash setting. Sartavio. Let's try again. Sorry. Let's go Koke. And where's my main man? Muslera. Why can't I find you? There he is. So it isn't ideal, only 7.1K, especially if you're trying to get Neymar. But again, that doesn't ruin you. This does. Now, obviously, you're probably going to want both. So you're probably going to have to drop Koke for something much cheaper. Probably our guy over on Bruges, Van Aken, who takes their corners. And that still doesn't ruin you from 3.5K. I'm sure you can find some center back or something to kind of like waste 6 points on in cash with a or with a clean sheet. So like, yeah, that's just an idea for either site there, how I'm kind of building. But I hope that gives everyone a really good breakdown of today. That's really basically all I have to say off the top of my head anyways. I wish everyone the best of luck here. Remember RotoPros.com. Come check us out. I think we got a really good thing going over here. We're having fun. Let's see if I can get us back on the normal screen now, so you can look at my face again there. Wonderful. I'm really excited for today. I think those edges are huge. FanDuel's got the most edges. Get over there and play more in FanDuel if you have the option today. I just think, like I said, the defenders, those midfield options are just too cheap to pass down. So anything you would like to know about bombings, hit me up on Twitter, Slack, get over in RotoPros, join up. We got a free trial going on. But yeah, best of luck today, everyone. Hopefully see you at the top of the leaderboards. Maybe me with you, but I'll still give you good congratulations if I'm not there too. So yeah, hit me up, let me know. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everyone, and I'll be back tomorrow, maybe with Josh, maybe by myself again, but we'll go over the slate tomorrow. Should be first thing tomorrow morning again. So if you're viewing this now and you're looking to ask me a question for tomorrow's slate, by all means, hit me up, and I'll be sure to do it up again tomorrow morning. So everyone, take care, have fun, see you later.